Hello, I'm Kari Laitinen and this is again one video about web-related programming. Today I'm going to speak about how to do objects with JavaScript. So normally it is so that if you do programming, it's the object-orientedness is the thing to do. And, now I'm going to show some couple of examples about or couple of pages where in which I have objects. So I'm again going to hide my face and we'll go to the computer screen. So this is my site, naturalprogramming.com, and here is the web programming icon, and I have here some canvas-based pages or examples of some canvas-based pages, and I have here two HTML files, MovingBallCanvas and MovingBallCanvas. So the first is not object-oriented and the second is an object-oriented version of the same page. So we'll first study the MovingBallCanvas.html, and I have already downloaded these pages to my local folder, so I'll just open them from there. So I will open MovingBallCanvas like this. So the program or the page is quite simple, or it doesn't show any text. It is just I will make it a little bit larger that you can see. So there are some buttons here, and then there is this drop-down list here, and with these buttons you can move the ball like this. You can move it left, you can move it down, you can move it up, and you can move it right. So there are 4 buttons there. And as you see, or if you watch carefully, you will see that here in the upper left corner of this canvas area, so this is the canvas area that has different color as the other part of the page. So it shows the coordinates of the ball in relation to the canvas area, so that, for instance, now the ball is located so that it's, I think its center point, it's 390 pixels in the direction X to the right of the upper left corner, and it is 246 pixels down from the upper left corner. So so the upper left corner is the 0 point of the canvas area. So the page is like this. It has these buttons, and you can move the buttons. With the buttons you can move the ball, and after a while I think it is a little bit boring thing to do this. So there is this extra feature here that you can use this drop-down list, and you can then change the color of the ball like this. So now it is a yellow ball. So again, it is nice to move the ball, and still there are more choices for the ball color. So the page is like this, and actually I do not know why these buttons are not so good looking here, but they could be made better looking with some CSS definitions, but this program doesn't have them. So this is the page, and then let's take a look at the source code. I'll open it with the Sublime text editor. They are in Documents and HTML work folder, MovingBallCanvas.html. So the page source code looks like this, and what we have here, we have the usual HTML things like the title, and we have the heading section, and then we have the JavaScript section. So this is the JavaScript section, and then we have the CSS style section here. So this is the CSS style section, or it is actually a style tag or style element there, and it just defines that the centered and so that this element is centered, and it has a certain width, 600 pixels, and height is 480 pixels, and margins are 30 pixels, the top and bottom margins, and the other the right and left margins, that they are automatic, which means that it automatically places the element in the horizontally in the center of the screen. So there is border, solid black, 1 pixel is the width of the border. So there is not so much in this, but then we have this actual body of the page, and when the page is loaded, the draw on canvas method will be called, or the draw on canvas function, the JavaScript function, will be executed, and then we have this div, and it has this ID centered, which means that it is centered, and the canvas has also the ID, canvas for moving ball, and it has a certain width and a certain height. And then we have this, then we have actually, I have to make this a little bit wider. So then we have this, then we specify all this input, or the controls, or the things of the user interface, and we specify the 4 buttons, and then we specify the drop-down list. So we can specify buttons with the input tag. We have earlier seen, I think in some other video, we have seen that it is also possible to use the button tag to define buttons, but here we use the input tag. And then we specify that the input type is button, and then we specify the value, and the value is then the text that goes into the button. So we have down button, and we have up button here, and then we have this the and sign and LT and the semicolon. So this is the less than sign, and this is the greater than sign. So because these 2 symbols, less than and greater than, they are special symbols in HTML, so that they are used, for instance, here when we specify tags. So we can't use these symbols inside when we specify strings when we specify text. So that's the reason we have to use this special notation to write these or to produce these two characters, less than and greater than. So these characters are in the buttons here. And then for each button we specify a JavaScript function that will be called when the button is clicked or pressed. So for instance, for the less than left button we specify left button clicked, down button we specify down button clicked, and up button clicked. So this naming is quite logical. So there is a method or function for every button that is used, and then these buttons specify what happens, or these functions specify what happens when the buttons are used. And then we have the drop-down list, and that is now specified with the select tag. Select tag, and again we have a ID for the list. It's a color selection list is the ID, and then we have the method or function called change ball color. So this function will be executed when a new color is selected by using the drop-down list. And then we have inside the select element, so this whole thing, or we can think that this whole thing is a select element, and inside the select element we have these option elements that specify the options that can be selected. And these just specify the strings that are visible when the list is used, so that all those texts, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, and so on, they are visible. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have used that. I should use this. So these texts are specified with the option tags. Yes. And this obviously means that the red is the thing that is selected at the beginning. And then, so this is the whole page. Here is the ending of the HTML, and so then these JavaScript functions that are shown that are earlier in the file, they then specify what happens when a button is pressed or the wall color is changed. So let's take a look at the JavaScript part. So I have here, so I have this, first I have these global variables. I have these global variables that can be accessed by all the functions. So there is the ball center point X and ball center point Y. I have just given, at the beginning I give them values so that the ball is in the center of the canvas. And then I have a variable current ball color, and this specifies the red color. And then I have, for each button I have an own function, but we could first take a look at the drawing function that draws everything on the page. So we usually always have these two statements at the beginning of the drawing function, so that we get the context or the graphics context, and we get the reference to the canvas element. But after we have done these things, we can just concentrate on making the drawing operations on the canvas. And this now first sets the fill style, the filling color of the drawing context to light yellow, and then we use this fill rect method to fill the entire canvas with this current filling color, or the light yellow. So with this 0 and 0 we refer to the upper left corner of the canvas, and we specify that we draw a rectangle that has the width of the canvas and the height of the canvas. So the entire canvas will be filled with that color. And then we start drawing the ball, and we use then the current ball color, which is the current ball color is the public or the global variable that specifies the drawing color, and we set the fill style as the current ball color, and then with these statements we draw the ball. And we use the arc method to specify the ball, the center point, and the radius is 50, and this specifies that it fills the entire arc of the ball. And we use the methods fill and stroke. So the fill method fills the drawing path for the ball with a filling color, and the stroke method does the outline of the ball, which is black by default. So you can see that there is a black edge with the ball. And here at the end, so this is the black color, and then we fill the text so that we do in the location 2020 we write this string that shows the current ball coordinates. And then if you take a look at these functions that react to the pressings of the buttons, so all of this, they all call again this draw on canvas method at the end, and before that calling that, they modify the x coordinate or the y coordinate of the ball center point. So for instance, when the left button is clicked, we make the ball center point 3 pixels smaller, and so then it is drawn slightly to the left, or it seems to move to the left. And when the down button is clicked, we increase the y coordinate. So remember that the y coordinate grows when we go down, and when we go up, the y coordinate gets a little bit smaller, and when we go to the right, the x coordinate grows. And always by calling this draw on canvas method, we always redraw the canvas area. And then we have this change ball color. So this is a little bit this is a little bit more complicated method, so that I have here this array or initialized array that specifies the colors, and so it means that now these colors. So I am again using these RGB colors here. So these colors are now in the same order as are the color names in this drop-down list. So for instance, that the blue color is now the third in the list, and in this array, so this is the first, second and third, so this specifies the blue color. So they are in the same order as the options in the drop-down list. And with this statement, we read the, or with this, we first get the reference to the drop-down list. So it is called the color selection list. So that is the ID of the element, and then there is this attribute selected index, and that says that which option is currently selected, and we assign that value to the color index variable, and then we use this variable to set the current ball color. So this is again the global variable which we use, and then we call the draw on canvas again, which means that then it redraws the ball with a new selected color. So in this program I have used these RGB values for the colors. So, but it would be better to use, because I have this in our course page. I have this link here, color names. It would be more nicer to use these official color names, and for instance, if I can find the red, so this is the basic red. So I could also write here like red. This should be green. Let's try it if it works. I'll reload the page. Let's try the green one. Yes, it works. But when I was writing this program, I didn't know that I could use these color names, and of course, but with this RGB function, you can make any color you want. But this is of course more readable. So this is basically the program or the page. And so my idea was here that let's find out how to do object-oriented programming. So when we think a graphical page like this, or when we do programming like this, it is very often very useful to define these graphical things that you can see on the screen. It is useful to define them as objects, like this ball here could be an object. And so I have another version of this program in which, and in this other version there is this ball is made as an object. So let's take a look at the other version of the program, and I have already downloaded it from my site, and so I just open it. Command open, and I have this MovingBallCanvas.html. So the OO here means object oriented. So the program is works exactly the same as the earlier one. So there is no difference in operation, but there is a difference in the internal structure of the program, so that it's made in an object-oriented way. So let's take a look at this other file. So I will open it, Command O, and I will open this MovingBallCanvas.html like this. So when we take a look at this, if we compare, let's start from the end of the page. So if we take a look at this this HTML part of the program, it is exactly the same as in the earlier version of the program. So there is nothing different, no differences here. And also this CSS style definition is the same. So there is no differences there, but the differences are then in the JavaScript part. And in the JavaScript part, I have here I have defined an object, or I have created a ball object with the color red, and I have set it that at the beginning it is in the location 300 and 240. So in the earlier version I had these variables, ball center point X and ball center point Y, and the current ball color. So now I have this, I define an object, and inside the object I put all these values. So here I define an object of a kind of class ball, and I give the information, the center point and the color of the ball as parameters for when I create the object, and then I make this variable ball on screen to refer to the created object. And then I call a method, set diameter, and I set the diameter of the ball as 100. And so that I can do this, I have here also an import state, or I kind of import into this file, I import an external JavaScript file called ball.js, and that defines the ball class. And so we can take a look at this file later, but let's get the differences here. So that when we think that the ball is an object, we think that the object knows where it is located, what is its color, what is the size of the object, and it also knows how to move. So we just, instead, in the earlier version, we always modified the local variables like this, but here we just call a method. We call methods like move left, move down, move up, move right. So the ball knows how to move left and how to move down and how to move up and so on. So that's one difference. And then change the ball color. So this is almost the same, but we don't. Again here we use a method to change the ball color. So there is a method in the ball class. There is a method called setBallColor, and then we just take the selected or the chosen color, and then we give it as a parameter to the method. And then when we want to draw the ball, we do not draw it by ourselves, but there is a drawing method inside the ball class, so that we just call the draw method and give the context, the drawing context, as a parameter for the method. So the ball knows how to draw itself. So this is one essential point here. And also when we want to get because we don't have to take care in this main program, we don't have to take care about the center point of the ball, or we don't have to remember, so the ball knows where it is located. So we can just call methods like call ball and get ball center point y and get ball center point x to read get the center point of the ball. So this is a little bit. So this main program is I think it's a little bit shorter now that we are using the external file that contains the ball class. But of course, this whole program is now much more longer than the previous one, because we have an external file and that contains many statements written in JavaScript. But let's take a look at this ball.js. It looks like this. So this shows how we can define classes in JavaScript. So I have used these quotation marks here. Because we don't JavaScript doesn't have similar classes as the other programming languages, but we can define constructors with JavaScript, and that makes, well, with this way we can create objects, and we can also these objects behave exactly like objects of a class in some other programming languages. So here I have this. So I have this function called ball, and this is now the constructor. And for that I give the center point x and center point y and the color. And then inside the constructor I use this word this, and so with this way of writing I can create the data fields or the attributes of the object. So I assign all these values to these variables or attributes, and so this creates the attributes. And so this is basically the constructor of the ball, for the ball object. And then as in object-oriented programming, we have methods with which to do all kinds of operations for the objects, and these methods are then specified like this, that you have to use the name of the class. I'm speaking about classes here, although they are not real classes. So you have to use the name of the class, and then you have to use this. You have to use the dot, and then you have to use the word prototype, and then you give the actual name of the method. And then you specify function like this, and here you put parameters if necessary, and then inside these braces you specify the internal statements of the method. And again, when you can refer to when you use this word this, you can refer to the data members or data fields or attributes of the object. So it is when you first take a look at this, and if you are familiar with other programming languages, it certainly looks quite complicated and maybe difficult, but you get used to this. So these are now all methods. So there's a method to activate the ball, method to deactivate the ball. We don't use all these methods in this current application, but they could be used in other applications. So you can get the ball center point X and center point Y and set the ball color. You can set the ball color, and here's the new color. You can set the diameter of the ball. You can move it right, you can move it left, you can move it up, you can move it down. So these are all methods. These are the names of the methods. So there are methods that are not used in this program, and I will not explain everything here. I'll let you study this on your own. But it is if you are familiar with other programming languages, you will notice that these ball objects, they are like objects of a real class, although we don't have the keyword class in JavaScript. And one nice thing about classes is that you can use them in many programs. And for instance, as this comment says here, the ball objects defined in this file are used in programs MovingBallCanvas.html and Moving Balls with a Pointer Canvas.html. So there's also another HTML page where this same JavaScript class is in use. Actually, there are many ways to define these JavaScript classes. So at the end of this file, there are comments. Inside comments, there are earlier versions of this file, but I think this way that is used here now is perhaps the best way to specify JavaScript objects or classes or constructors. So it is a little bit difficult to speak because there are no real classes, but still they are still this thing is like a class. So I think this is enough for today. This was a little bit long lesson, but I think that you have to yourself do a little bit studying about how this ball class works, and read it through, and we will see classes also in other applications or other sample pages that I have on my side. So I think this is now the end of the lesson. You can play with this program, move the ball. It's boring, but it should be somewhat amusing. So I thank you very much for watching this video, and I will be back with some other video.